Thank you guys so much for being here on a Saturday, sticking through the last presentation. They did save the best for last, as they say. My name is Svetlana Raymer. I'm the Vice President of Development and External Affairs at the International Center, and also the co-founder and president of Ukrainian Society of Indiana. And I'll let Sarah introduce herself as well.
Hi, and I'm Sarah Duggan from Wabash, and I help with the sister city arrangements in the mayor's office, and also I work with Wabash City Schools.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk to you about a really big deal, first squared sister city, because this was a truly kind of a historic thing. It's the first sister city for Wabash, Indiana, as well as the first Sister Cities International city in Indiana to have a sister city in Ukraine. So there are a lot of firsts happening here. And so this all started last year with a very fateful meeting at this exact symposium here, where Sarah and I found each other because we both did a presentation about our respective careers for the IU Cyber series. They talk to people who work in all sorts of international affairs, and they approached both of us to do the videos. And so when we saw each other in the room, we're like, I've seen you. I've seen you before. And I came up to Sarah and talked a little bit. At that time, I did a presentation with Chase Elliott with Noblesville because they were started to work on a unique project with Ukraine as well. And we talked, and then Sarah told me, if you ever have an interest in partnering, and if you have an opportunity for Wabash in Ukraine, talk to me. And so I did. Why did you say that?
Well, Wabash is open, obviously, like many of your cities too, to developing sister cities abroad. But we do have some people in our community that are connected to Ukraine. And the mayor had mentioned some things to me already about, hey, if there's opportunities. So it was amazing to meet you and have that conversation because it really did open the doors for our partnership.
Yeah, so keep coming to these because they all will open the door. So shortly after I met Sarah, I was approached by a very unique project. So United States Agency for International Development contracts with different international development companies. This particular project is done through DAI, which is Development Alternatives International. And they launched a 5-year project in Ukraine called Hoverla, which is aimed at helping Ukraine with their decentralization reform. One of the branches of this project is to partner their 65 participating communities with communities in the United States, because the United States had such a profound experience in decentralized government. So they really wanted to let smaller Ukrainian cities partner with, be sister cities with, and learn from communities in the United States. And so when they reached out to me and said, do you know of any towns in Indiana that would be interested in participating in this? I thought about Sarah immediately, and I reached out to her and said, do you think they would be interested? How did that conversation with the mayor go for you?
Fantastic. The mayor was very interested, and obviously Lana was a huge, this would not happen without Lana's support. And so she connected us obviously with Korosten, and that became our first sister city. I'll let her explain a little bit more about that. But we did look at a few other options as well. Lana brought us a few different cities to consider, but obviously we look at, as you guys know, with sister cities, what makes sense, what kind of collaborations do we have, what similarities do we have, and how can we make this connection actually work in the long term, not just have a great sister city partnership.
Yeah, and so a big part of my role with this Hoverla project was because I'm born and raised Ukrainian, and so I actually studied geography as part of my international tourism undergraduate major. And it was, my role was to really find partnerships between cities that would make sense. Both Wabash and Korosten are located to the north of the central city of their respective regions, so there's a little bit of similarity there. There's topographic and geographic similarity. Both cities sit on a river, which could also, there could be conversations about river ecology, water-based recreation, and others. And then a very unique part that really sealed the deal for us was that Wabash has an annual chili cook-off. It's a big community festival centered around food. And Korosten is very unique in having an annual potato pancake festival that has a lot of competitions and cook-offs. And so there was opportunity by bringing the planning committees together to learn from each other and to really share those best practices about hosting those food-based festivals. And just, it was still happening that in December of last year, I already had a trip to Ukraine planned. And I decided to take a day away from my family to go visit Korosten and talk to them. And so Sarah was very helpful in getting a letter of invitation signed by Mayor Long prepared so that I would be able to hand deliver it to the mayor of Korosten during my trip, which is what we did. And so the conversation that we had in that room, and they really approached it very seriously. They got an entire room of people together. There were representatives from the health department, from their tourism center, from their school system, because I explained to them that one of the main points of contact at Wabash is housed within the city and the school system and does a lot of school exchanges. The Children's Art Center, they brought everybody there. We had an hour and a half meeting where I walked out with 3 pages worth of notes on how the cities could collaborate further. And then once I got back and shared those notes, then Sarah got to work bringing more community partners to the table.
Right, so this picture here is Keith Gillenwater. He's our local economic developer for the Wabash County. So he and I came and met with Lana, and as she returned from her trip and shared all of these wonderful ideas of how we can collaborate. I mean, obviously, as you guys all know, with Sister City, you hope that there's also an economic tie and there could be some collaboration there as well. So that was definitely something that we wanted to see happening.
And as we continued to work, we assisted the cities in developing an agreement. And then Hovedla, which is the USAID project, they have a platform called Webex, where they also have interpreters who can, they have multiple language tracks, which can be really helpful when you have international communications happening. And so we prepared the agreements. The way we did it, we had each mayor sign the agreement, then scan those documents, send it to their city counterparts. The city counterparts printed them out and then had them in front of them during the virtual signing. So everybody got on WebEx. And so Mayor Long in front of him had an agreement signed by Mayor Moskalenko, and Mayor Moskalenko had in front of him an agreement signed, scanned and printed by Mayor Long. So then in real time, they each countersigned the agreement. So right, when you're talking about partnering with cities where travel and logistics could be challenging for a variety of reasons, in this particular situation because of Russia's invasion, a virtual signing could be facilitated fairly easily with the right platform and just a prior exchange of documents. As long as you have good planning in place, it's not impossible to do it. We're hoping that, you know, the pretty one with the big seal will be signed one day when the mayors have a chance to meet. But don't be discouraged that there's no opportunity to meet in person quickly. That is not a reason to delay the signing.
Yeah, and actually we did have people in our city hall because we were so excited, because this is actually Wabash's first sister city, official first sister city. So they could have joined online, but they really wanted to be in person. And so we got, of course, Ukrainian snacks and treats and things like that. And a time for people to mix and mingle afterwards. So it was really a nice time and a good celebration in our office too.
And these are just some of the images. They took Mayor Moskalenko. So the image you saw before was kind of the screen with all of the participants who joined. And Mayor Moskalenko, he got the Ukrainian and US flag. And so he was seeing Mayor Long on the very opposite side of the world with the Ukrainian and American flag. And doing what Wabash did was truly incredible. Again, they've also approached it with such level of seriousness. They sent out physical invitations on beautiful cards with the seal of Wabash to people who they wanted to invite to the city hall. And those people who were in the audience during the signing later approached the city with some ideas for projects and partnerships, right? So involving those partners in the community to have the honor of being present at the signing allowed for them to later come up and say, hey, we have an idea, and we'll talk to you guys about some of our next steps, but we have an idea, we would like to contribute to this project in this way, and we have the resources to contribute in this way. So the more people you bring to the table, the more ideas they will offer. And so once the agreement was signed and sort of the relationship became official, once again, I had the opportunity to go home and visit with, I helped set up 4 sister cities between Ukraine and the US so far, 2 of them in Indiana, Wabash being the very first. And knowing that I was going to go back home, I reached out to these 4 sister cities and said, if you would like to send anything along, I'm planning on visiting those communities. So if you would like to send any diplomatic gifts, I'll be happy to deliver them. And so I had, Wabash sent wonderful, the flag of the city and some other themed gifts and a personal handwritten note from Mayor Long, which again is a very, very special type touch from the mayor himself. And the really unique thing, so I traveled to Korosten, and the really unique thing here is what we're trying to do again with multiple partners involved is have a regional approach. So Korosten and Wabash are now sister cities. And then, so you see Mayor Moskalenko to my left, and to my right is the mayor of Lubar, a city in the same region of Ukraine that's now a sister city with Monticello, Indiana. We're now working on a third one, and I'm in communications with another one, again, with the same region. And the idea is to have as many sister cities between Indiana and that specific region in Ukraine to then approach the governor's office and request a sister state relationship based on that. So again, it's a very long vision type of strategy where you're trying to build these relationships further. And so how did you guys come up with the gift?
Well, it was Mayor, really. He's great about gifts, and he definitely knows exactly what people are looking for. But he, he's thinking long-term as well. Like you said, he's wanting this partnership to be something that goes on and on, even beyond his term. And we kind of shared, he may only have one more, round in the office, I think, we get another session. But after that, we want to make sure that this does have a long lasting effect. So we started talking about our next steps. Like, how do we really solidify this? How do we make this partnership happen? And so a lot of these ideas, originate from those 3 pages of notes that she took, but also some from our people in our community. For example, the Finding a Sister Church pairing, that was definitely somebody in our community that said, we really would love to find a sister church in Ukraine that we can support and we can help, as well as, we'd love for them to visit us and things like that. So we also have, if you're not familiar, the Honeywell Center is located in Wabash, which is fantastic, and there's a long history there. But we do look forward to streaming a video that was made, a movie that was created there in Ukraine near Korosten by a Ukrainian movie maker. And really, we would love if all of you guys would like to make a trip up to Wabash. It's not that far. It's only about an hour and a half from here. But we will let you know, and that information will come out at a later time when we actually are able to solidify the date. But we would love for as many people around the state to get involved in things.
Yes, and one of the things, of course, when you come to Ukrainians with gifts, they give you back doubles the amount of gifts. So I also have gifts from Korosten that I got on my trip to give to Mayor Long and to Sarah, and I wanted to show you a few of those. So can you guys still hear me okay? So they have this very cool eco shopper tote with Korosten on it, blue and yellow colors. And so there's this really, they did give a big flag of the city and the little flag of the city, which, so we're not gonna open up the big one right now, but there's this really incredible plaque that they created custom with a gratitude. And so this is the famous historic warrior of medieval times who's believed to come from Korosten. And so this is the gratitude to the city of Wabash for the partnership. And then another really, really cool gift, which is very special, very limited edition, again, with this same warrior from Korosten, and is this very limited edition commemorative medal. It's precious metal, and I'm really surprised I was able to get it for the customers. And they didn't think I was smuggling something out of the country. But there's a number of really, really incredible gifts in here that will now travel back to Wabash with Sarah. And so I think what kind of the idea behind this session and this presentation is bringing to the table as many partners as possible, right? We have the 2 communities of Korosten and Wabash that decided to become sister cities, but it took a village to truly make that happen. It took the participation of Ukrainian Society of Indiana and people who are volunteers and leaders in our community to suggest ideas and to help pick a community. It took Sister Cities International, which Wabash is now a member of, to kind of get some ideas and get some resources brought to the table. The International Center was involved as well in the original stages and bringing all the partners together. And then DAI, which is the international development company that works under a USAID grant to administer this project in Ukraine that helps Ukrainian cities seek sister cities. And then I should have put the Grow Wabash County logo on there as well for Keith, so that he knows he's acknowledged as well. So the idea is bring the partners together and make sure that people are passionate about this common goal, because if that really happens, and if people are willing to engage in citizen diplomacy and take on that initiative, it can truly lead to some wonderful results.